Okay, back for another one today. How's everybody doing? This is card number 49 in this series. We've been doing this for 49 days now. Can you believe that? So, with that said, going to be knocking out a Captain Britain. This character's phenomenal. I actually like the classic one that could fly better. This new one, I don't know if he flies or not. The one that hangs out with Deadpool and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure about that. But, hey Jay, how's it going, man? I'm not sure about this one as far as the characteristics of the new, the Marvel Now version. But, this one definitely could fly. The old Lionheart version could fly. And I think this character's underutilized these days. It's not really a high impact character. I think he's a second stringer to us here in the States, which is sad because it's a phenomenal character. He's got a lot of classic heroic attributes that people look for and we actually need in comics these days because everybody's looking for the funny, and it's totally different. But it is what it is. Hey, Brian, thanks for making it, man. But, yeah, a lot of the classic characters need to come back because these modern incarnations are killing the market. And unfortunately, not that I'm going on a rant or anything, I'm just making an observation from a business standpoint. A lot of the problem with the stuff going on these days is that it just doesn't have any resale value. Everything is all about the moment of, rehash, pop out, and move on. And if that's what they want to do, that's fine. That's their business, and they know that stuff way better than we do of what's going on the inside behind the scenes. But as a comic professional, though, I just kind of, I don't know, I've been jaded by it. And I'm an ultimate optimist. Anybody that knows me knows I'm always upbeat. I hardly ever get down in the mood. But I tell you, man. And the reason I'm on this little tangent right now is because of the fact that, which, like I said, I'm not going on a rant or anything, but I went into a comic store yesterday afternoon and lost my mind. I was like, nothing matches up. And they had like 16 titles of Marvel and maybe 5 or 6 books from DC, and I was just like, really? That's a sign, folks. The market's a-changing. But, I've talked about this many, many times, and I'm going to be talking about it on the upcoming reopening of Comic Kickstarter as well for that podcast. And I tell you what, man, it's just going to be an eye-opener with the marketing statistics that are behind it, because even the mainstream guys are just not marketing to where the money is anymore. So think about that whenever you're making a comic book, You got to know your market. It's a big deal. Nick and Rusty, you guys did make. Hey, man, I thought you were going to make it, Nick. That's awesome, man. Thanks. But yeah, the industry standard has just changed way too much, and it needs to be reevaluated. So we'll see how that turns out. This mask on this character has always been fascinating to me because it was like it's basically the British design of Batman if you look at it. I found that cowl very cool when I was a kid, and especially when the early 90s Excalibur stuff came out. When that series booted off, man, it just blew me away. But then they changed it all up. So But like I said, don't get me wrong. I still love comics and I still love the industry and it's awesome and I'm still working in it and whatnot. It's just, like I said, the mainstream needs to take a look at the smaller aspects of it and make some creative moves to bring some of these characters back to their former glory where they just don't have it anymore. So, and I'm not bashing the new guys, I'm not bashing the art, I'm not bashing anything like that. It's just, I understand characters change and they grow and whatnot. It's just, yeah. They don't have the flair of these characters, you know. I mean, even most of the Golden Age characters are actually making a bigger comeback than the Marvel Now Modern Age stuff. And DC too. It's getting pretty rough over there too. Their sales are dropping, you know, left and right every day, and it's just because they don't put any heart into their characters anymore, like this guy. So, if you get a chance, check out some of the old graphic novels. I say old, which cracks me up because it was in the '90s. A lot of these characters had their heyday, and that's when you want to check out a bunch of that older stuff. Start buying comics, 1990 and older, and you'll get some really good reads out of that stuff. Because unfortunately, like I said, most of it's gone fad now, and it's really tough. For a creator like me that wants to build a legacy of work, it's really, really tough to get into comics in the modern phase. So hopefully they'll phase out and go the new direction of wherever they're going, and we'll get a reboot that'll bring some characters back, or at least a redirection with the company, not necessarily the books. Because Lord forbid we don't need another one of those. And I'm just saying what everybody's thinking and tells me, here, and what I think and feel and believe about it as well. And like I said, that comic shop trip yesterday just messed me up, man. It really, really did a number on me when I walked in that store and saw just so many titles just turn and burn. But it is what it is. So take what I say with a grain of salt and do your thing, and it's all good. Yeah, that looks better. I should have curved that down a little bit. But, going over here, just moving stuff around a little bit. Bear with me a sec. Okay, I'm going to put in a ghost marker here. Guide this off. I know this one isn't too it's a great pose for what it is, but it's not, one of my better poses. I get that. I'm keeping it light today because this is number 49, but I'm not slacking off nonetheless. So you guys are going to get a good card out of it. Count on that. It's just that number 50 is going to be awesome. And I'm going to make it so. A lot of the Silver Age and Golden Age guys won't like this one too much. You'd be like, bleh. But hang with us. Because this is a modern character. And the one for number 50, which I'll mention in just a minute. A lot of people turn their noses up at it because it's, it's a modernized character. Like they do at Deadpool and Wolverine and a couple of the others. And it's just, it is contemporary. It is pop culture. But it's still a great character. Nonetheless. So, just to give you guys an insight on it, it's going to be Cable. So, There you go. You have it. If you showed up today, you got to know early. I really, really dug that character back when he was with um, a lot of the New Mutant stuff, and then when the New Mutants became um, Team X for about an issue and a half, and then they went into that full blown X Force. Man, that was just classic. Whether you're a Rob Liefeld fan or not, and I really dig the dude. Nice, nice guy, and very, very clean work. He's like Jack Kirby or Walt Simonson. He's got a style that you just can't miss, whether you like it or not. Um, it is what it is. But yeah, I find it very cool that a lot of these characters are being held to true fashion and form with a lot of fellow artists. Um, I watched my friend Jim this morning, and he's been working on it off and on most of the day. Uh, Jim O'Reilly, he's been doing a bunch of black and line work on a Spider-Man and Venom piece. If you got the chance to see it and you're friends with him on his timeline, check him out. The dude's awesome. But yeah, I got to watch him do a classic Venom and Spider-Man commission earlier today. Most of you guys know he will pop off and on with some cool stuff. Known Jim for a while. He's not personally, just on social media. He's a cool dude. Never had anything bad to say about him to his face. But no, no, he's a cool guy. But a lot of artists are doing that lately. They're really, really getting in high end on that of drawing characters like this, like I do, where it's more of a classic costume. Oops. And the card gave way, and I slipped that right over there. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So. But no, this is coming off really well. A lot of these classic costumes, people freak out about them and they want to see the new stuff, and it's okay, cool. I've got some new stuff in the line. We're going to be doing a couple of new things. I got asked the other day about Ms. Marvel, the new one, and I was like, okay, I can do that, but we'll see. So, Captain America parody trivia for you. And yes, Captain America is what I said. If Captain America is turned to Hydra, does that mean that Captain Britain's turned to Nessie? Just saying. Yeah, I know it's a goofy pun, but it works. Hey, Tom, glad you made it, man. And a lot of people have been asking me lately today, um, especially today because of Captain Britain going on. They wanted to know what I was going to be doing next, and if I was going to be doing any kind of comic release or anything like that here soon. The answer to that is yes. I do have some comics coming up, and Firestorm is under revamp right now. And as soon as I get that detailed out, we had to switch servers yesterday, and as soon as I get that new site up, we are going to be releasing a couple of comics going back into regular monthly stuff. So the answer to that question is yes. But I took most of the early part of the day off today to revamp my studio, and I'll be sharing a lot of new stuff with that for you guys to check out as we go along. Not today, but soon. I'm going to block out these blues just a little bit to make them pop off and leave that red alone. Just a little undershadow on the red, right in the middle. And like I said before about the new costumes, have you guys noticed that this new Captain Britain looks a little bit like he looks a little bit like Union Jack, which is another Marvel British character, another UK character. I found that really, really fascinating for some reason. Almost aggravating, because I was like, that's a Union Jack costume. What happened to Union Jack if you're going to do that? But again, the Disney Marvel machine is way better off on their insight than I am, so I'm not going to get into that too much. That's just a fan thing, more or less, is the easiest way to put it. So we will keep it light and easy going and move on. Card was gradually creeping up the desk there. I'm going to put in a heavy shadow right there on that blue, because of the way he's standing and the way it's tipped. I'm wanting this blue to go dark instead of being, just bright, cartoony blue. I'm going more of a shaded version with this one. Just feels a little more natural to black it out like that, because that royal blue is actually very, very dark when you think about it. And it makes him look more menacing and not, goofy. So, but that's a technical term, mind you. Alright, going to block this out a little bit better on these blacks right back here. And I'm going to get a little detail in on that face. Now with this one, it's weird because it goes like this. It has a white stripe here and a white stripe here, and that's red. But the funny thing about it is, if you look at him from any other angle, you can't see that because this right here is white, and most of the time, most colors turn that blue for some reason. They did that for years. Drove me nuts. But, hey, whatever. It was a fun ride, that's all I'm saying. We'll put in some shadows. And pop this face out a little bit. Again, Batman style. A lot of people don't like to do that, but for me, he's a big hero, big brow. There you go. And if you noticed, I put in the Batman Wolverine style box nose, because if you don't, it goes to a creepy little point and it looks weird. Because then you have to color shade all that and it just doesn't come out like it's supposed to. I wanted something you guys could see volume and mass to, and it suits my style. So that's what you got. And when you're drawing this character, think about this. He has a hard helmet right across here, and then it's kind of a open cowl visor thing going on. But this part back here is all a hard helmet on him. And when you're drawing it, make sure you round it out, because if you don't, you'll get cracked on. People will pick on you about it. However, people will pick on you about it because he's got a big dome head too. But the thing is he actually has a helmet under there. When he takes off his mask, this part goes soft and hangs like fabric, and that part he can put under his arm. But then, when they draw him taking his hood off, most of the time they would screw it up because they would take it and grab it from the top and pull it off like a mask. But whatever, you can't have structure like that and like that without having something solid in there. It just doesn't work. So think about the structure of the costume itself. Of course, I say that now, but the thing is, the funny thing about it is that back in the day, he had blue, this huge blue and red and gold suit, where he had this big gold lion on his chest, and most of it was red, and then the pants were blue. That one had big long blocks of hair hanging out of it, and I say that now, but um, it was funny back in the day because of the fact that when I was a kid and read those old books, I was always thinking that he was going to get cracked in the head. And it's not to conflict it with a character like Robin that wears a mask, or Green Lantern that wears a mask. It's just a facial mask. But when they do that top off thing at the top and the hair hangs out, it really just cracks me up because I get that visualization that they're going to get cracked in the head. You got all this cool outfit on and you got your hair hanging out. Somebody's going to come along and thunk you on the nugget and you're going to be done. But again, that's just my thought process to it. So, we got this guy going, and I'm going to come in here and flesh out the chest and the arms now. Maybe do a little more work on the rib cage a little bit. A lot of this is very tight angles because he's a rich dude, so this is more blue down here, so we're going to shade that in. I think that's going to do all right. I'm trying not to shake the table here because I don't want it to idle. Let's see. Let's go this way. We'll get this down here. There we go. Now there's the white stripe. This goes into the red right here. I'm going to connect that up a little bit. Put a slight curve over there too. And then, because this goes back to blue underneath, because of these stripes right here, I'm going to cup this off right here for the white. Which in most cases it doesn't wrap quite that far, but because of the angle we're at, we're going to see more of the blue underneath. Okay, I'm going to get my hand in the way here and pin that down so we can shade it out. Alright. I'm going to do the classic style of shading this muscle out on just this underside, as long as I quit catching the end of that card. Spider-Man style, Mark Begley used to do this all the time. Mapping it out like that. That way we have the highlight there. And we've got dark. Now we've got the ridge back here of the blue arm. We'll pop a little undershadow right there because of the edge of the shoulder. Put in a little bit of that delt right there. Make it start to flesh out a little bit. Okay. Now, we won't see any of the rest of this because this is all going to be red here. But I'm going to put in a little bit of that, a little bit more of the top of this abdomen here. And a little hint of the solar plexus coming out. So you guys can see that. And now, we're going to call it a day. That is done. Hey, Matt. Glad you showed up, man. Omar, thank you very much for coming by. Yeah, we've got it all set up, and this is going to be about it. So I'm not going to work this too much. Just going to darken up that one line because it's bugging me because it's light. There we go. So, that's it, folks. We have Captain Britain. So, now coming at you from the Loch Ness. According to every captain in Marvel going to some sort of mythical creature. But, no. We will talk at you tomorrow with card number 50, which, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, we are going to be looking at a whopping big expressive card of Cable. And I haven't decided how I'm going to do this layout yet. I'm going to work on it tonight. I've got a couple of things I'm going to do, and then I'm going to work on it tonight, and I've got some time blocked out for it. It's going to be massive, whatever it is. It's going to be a fun one. I want you guys to keep a lookout for it and hang on, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'll post it early so you guys can see when I'm going to be doing it, knocking it out. And thanks for hanging with me. Check you tomorrow.